Question and answer class. Renani Kawun Mantu Hinke Henu. I am he who gives praise. My name is Mantu Hinke Henu. I am he who gives praises and offerings. Are there any questions?
I just have one.
Talk.
Tell Shalom. I have a question.
Shalom?
Nakuk, tell Shalom. I have a question.
Oh, Tor. I thought you said peace,
Peace,
in Hebrew out this. Tor.
If a person's mother is like let's say a pure like Caucasian like blonde hair, blue eye, like born like 1960 whatever, just a pure Caucasian, right? And say she has a Negro father, and that person got into right knowledge and she wanted to call upon her ancestors. Say that the mother died, because she had the mitochondrial DNA. But even though she don't have like a soul, like she might be trapped. Like how is or that person making a connection with a forebred, like let's just say like Caucasian or what's the word I'm looking for? Like a German or a full-blood Caucasian. How can that person make that connection after that person died? Because they still might be trapped because they don't have a soul to pass. So how can they make that connection? How can that child make that connection to that mother if she passed?
So you're asking how can
if she's a full
how can a daughter make contact
or
with her
son,
mother?
like say if the father is, I'm just using the mother. Say if the father is a Negro, and the mother is a full-fledged like a pure Aryan, put it like that, pure like Aryan race, like blonde hair, blue eyes, like pure Aryan. And she come across us, or he come across us. She passed away. Now, by her not really having a soul, she might become trapped. Like, how can she make that connection
to her father?
To the mother that passed away. Who's a full like Aryan race or whatever.
Well, for the Nagaru, when we make connection, the master teacher, he told us to surround ourselves with images of our own ancestors, and you talk to them as if they're there, because your ancestors reside in the full glory of the soul, right? But your ancestors also reside in geometric, ethereal structures and maintained by way of your energy of love. So when you call on your ancestors are inside of you. They are in your genetics. They are inside of your blood. They are the voices in your head. So if she wants to make a connection with her mother, or he wants to make a connection with his mother, you call on them and you look at their pictures that they have, and you call on them and you talk to them as if they're right there, because it's almost like you're actually speaking to yourself, because your ancestors are within you. They are in your genetics. They're inside your genes.
I understood that. I guess what I'm saying is, but if she's a pure, like Aryan, like I said, like in her soul, she might get trapped because she can't have the ability to ascend. What I'm saying is, even though when you call out her, you got, her picture, everything right there. You got your shrine and everything, because that's your first, that's your salafu before you even go to your daughter. Can she still help you, even though she might still be trapped because she's a pure Aryan race?
Well, your mother will always be able to help you. If that's who you're calling on, that's who birthed you. That's your first God. That's your goddess. So she'll be available to help you. If you call, they'll be available. But Wu-Nawap is a DNA doctrine. If you're talking pertaining to Wu-Nawap, whether you're mixed, mulatto, whatever spirit being that you feed will get in the driver's seat and become more and more powerful. So if you're feeding yourself with Wu-Nawap, whether you're mulatto, mixed or not, your genes will start to cleanse itself, because Wu-Nawap is a DNA doctrine that purifies the genetics. So if she decides that she still want to call on the sixth ether side of her bloodline, that's fine, because that's in her bloodline. That's her mother. But the master teacher also told us that we have disagreeable ancestors and we have agreeable ancestors, and you got to choose which ancestors you want to call on for you to better and perfect your being, because you have ancestors that will tell you the wrong things to do, which will not help you perfect your being on this planet. And you get up to 24,000 reincarnations to get it right on this planet, which is linked to the 24,000 years that make up an equinox and your 24,000 genome sequences. But Mukasu Caucasians, they don't get that many times to get it right. And when you get your mitochondria DNA, that's all your hereditary. That's all your genes is coming through that mitochondria. But once you are mixed with Nagaru, once you mix in with Nagaru, you are Nagaru. But it depends on what spirit being that you're feeding your carnal body, which will enable the righteous or agreeable or benevolent ancestors to get inside the driver's seat and to help you as the voices inside of your head, whether they're agreeable or disagreeable, because there's levels to disagreeable which disagreeable can go to evil. Right. But you don't have to be evil to be disagreeable.
No, I agree. So, okay. I got it. Okay.
Tour.
Question.
Roll back. Tour.
This question, I was trying to understand the question. Are you saying that the girl or the son?
I was just giving an example. Like,
I know what I'm saying. I understand. Is she mixed or she?
Say if he or she is a child that's mixed from a Nagaru father.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he or she don't even matter what the child is.
All right. No. I was wondering what.
And I was saying that if the mother was a pure Aryan race, blue eyes, whatever, pure Aryan race.
If she mixed them, make her the garden, right? Well,
Right. But I was asking, like, if she was to call out to her.
I got you.
She would still be calling out to 6 ether forces, because if her mother is Mukasu.
I got that.
I got it.
I was kind of curious what she related to the black guy and just a father.
Yeah.
All right.
So because we all are mixed. We all are mulattoes over here.
Right.
In the West. Throughout the diaspora, it's all black mulattoes. No one has the pure genes no more. That's why we have to clean our genes with Wu-Nawap 1, and also to take on pure Nagaru feminine, Zazaz-Taku. That's why the master teacher said, get your women from Negroid land. Right? Now, speaking of the blood, we'll go into a chapter of the blood, and we'll make Paa Taraq, Baba Yaanun, the master, Baba Yaanun's words be known. Follow? Now, this is chapter 11, Paa Taraq, the blood, verses 1 through 27. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get a new decision. I was reading it so much it started.
You want to get
No. This mine's right here. Talk. Be ashuk nakuk rahub amkum eye marora karadu shalil Wu-Nawap. Munwap-u muklas oru lahe salau nun Wu-Sabat Wu-Taqwam shalal Nawapia natuk Nawapuyee. With divine love, I greet you, my beloved children of Wu-Nawap, Nawaupians, saviors to our race and tribe and nation of Nawapia, speaking Nawapic. Once Dajua lost, you now found. You have suffered much at the hands of the Adamites and their alien overlords, whom they call gods, El, Elohim, Allah, Alehat, and many other Renan-at names. In many dialects, they created from the one taught them. Genesis chapter 11:1. And those gods and angels of their Bible and Quran, be he Yahweh, Adonai, Rab, are carnivores, as seen in Genesis chapter 18, 1 through 8. They asked the Karadu children of Adam to razuk, provide them with flesh and blood to attract them. The gushing forth of damam, blood, from an open cut will bring them near. Mukmam damam, human blood, or debat damam, beast blood, as you see. 1 Kings chapter 18, 27 through 28. Their gods, or Lord God, loves the smell of cooking meat, as you see. Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 through 21. A sweet savor. Their gods only respect offerings of flocks of Jasad, as you see, Mubrah, Barah, or carnivores over vegetables, as Muasab, Asab, or herbivores, as you see. Genesis chapter 4, verses 2 through 5. They, as you see that with Cain and Abel, Cain's offering was rejected of the vegetation. Abel's offering was accepted of sheep being slaughtered, of killing an animal. 7, verse 7. They, their gods, taught them, the Hebrews, the ones who crossed over, how to kill, war, fight, murder other people, non-Hebrews, throughout the Bible and the Quran. Too many list. Too many to list. Their gods taught them how to cut up Farouk, divide, in which they get the word Africa, Africa, Farouk, divide, and cool flesh, meat, as you see in Leviticus chapter 1, 1 through 17, chapter 2, 1 through 16, chapter 3, 1 through 17, chapter 4, verse 1 through 35, chapter 5, verse 1 through 19, chapter 6, verse 1 through 30, all in the book of Leviticus, chapter 7, verses 1 through 38, chapter 8, verses 1 through 36, chapter 9, verses 1 through 24, chapter 10, verses 1 through 20, and Munwap-u, Nawaupians. If you read them, you will see that these offerings, obligations, and sacrifices were to be eaten, used as food. 9. And when the gods in Genesis chapter 22 verses 1 through 13 asked the Hebrew man named Abraham, who was really Persian Chaldean of Ur, Genesis chapter 14:13, to offer his son Isaac as a bashar wu damam, human flesh and blood offering, to cut him up and to cook him on an altar in order to eat Isaac. 10. No all-knowing God needs to test a mortal if he or they already know all things in man. Akal, mind, and a abab, heart. So it was not a test of faith. So the God or gods, El, Elohim, Allah, Alihat, are not just Mubrah, Barah, or carnivores. They are also Mufneu, Bashar, cannibals. And so was the race of Adamites and their offerings to the Gibeonite of Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Also found in lost yet now found books that have been completed by the story of this event of Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 5, the book of Enoch, chapter 7, verses 1 through 11, the book of Jubilees, chapter 5, verses 1 through 3. Their offering from Genesis 6:5 began to eat their own parents. Once they could not, Razuka, provide them with other people to eat. So the offerings of Adamu, Sawal Ta'u, Adamites' daughters, who mixed with the sons of Elohim, were Mufneu, Bashar, cannibals. And this cannibalism passed on to the Hebrews and their offspring, Israelites, and other tribes. 13. You find the Hebrews and Israelites making flesh and blood offerings to their gods, who were in fact Mujad Muthatal-u, extraterrestrials, carnivores, cannibals. And this is still true behind closed doors with the races of Adamites. They offered their own children to their gods. They even ate their own children. Leviticus chapter 26:29, and 26:33. Deuteronomy chapter 28:53 and 28:64. 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 9. Jeremiah chapter 19 verse 9. Lamentations chapter 2 verse 20 and chapter 4 verse 10. Zechariah chapter 2 verse 6. 15. And Munwap-u, Nawapians, if you read these, you will see that the chosen people of the Bible and Quran were and still are carnivores and mufneu bashar, cannibals. It's right in their holy Bibles, holy books, and the Quran claims the same seed Muhammad, the Arab founder of the religion of Islam for Muslims, himself claimed to be of the seed of Abraham. He's called in Arabuyi, Arabic, Ibrahim, the same bloodline of Hebrews to Ishmaelites, to Israelites, to Nazarites. Cannibalism is part of 1. Mosesism, 2. Jesusism, 3. Muhammadism. All who follow the religion of Abraham. Most today don't even know or see these actual facts in their Taraq history. Their gods are Kameu, aliens who are cannibals who set up on Zupu, red zone, land of carnivores, as well as the land of those of Rh negative Damam, blood type, 20. Today, this past is alum, hidden in Za'amus, religious rituals of animal sacrifices at their ceremonies and religious holidays. Refer to actual fact. Number 48, Bigfoot. Are there any questions? No questions. They celebrate by slaughtering animals in public and karadu, children, in private. Still to this Zamut day. Both kosher and halal originally meant to drain out the demand blood of the animal or human offered to their gods first before cutting their throats. Then prepared the meat that was the ritual. 24. They have the right to katul, kill, in the name of their kameu gadadu, alien gods, offering Paa Kaaah, the spirit of the katula killed to their gods. Pa sadak haya kawun jawaf pa damam. The true life is in the blood. That is why in Kadam Zaamat, ancient religions such as Wiccanism of Merat, Europe, they always offer blood. In Buddhism, they offer blood. The Mayas offer blood. And the Christians today repeat, by the blood of Christ, you are saved. It's always been about blood. Theirs is of aliens, Rh negative blood types versus earthlings, Rh positive blood types. Today, Mukasu Caucasoids must eat jasad, meat, with each meal, and they will eat it raw or rare, showing blood. They seek blood, create cinemas about vampires over and over, blood-lusting creatures, yet always from Merat, Europe. Now our race loves to baruch, eat jasad, flesh, bashar, human flesh, because of rape and mixing. Many of our own race have their blood inside. 32. The Adamu Salal, Adamite race, live in the image of the beast, their gods who made them. And now many of our own people live in the Shabbat image of the Adamite race, who mixed their seed inside of them. 34. I, Pa Nabab, Baba, Yaanun, the master Yaanun, none before me who claim to come and save you have ever taught you these actual facts that you can investigate and see for yourself. Don't reject me, O Wu-Nawap. It's your last chance for taklas, salvation. Link back to your own Salafu ancestors, not the Kameu, Gadadu, alien gods of their blood-lusting religions. Most Caucasians don't know these hakakat, actual facts about themselves. It's kept from them until the year 2000 AD, and the uncovering of many stone tablets of Sumeria, as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls and Gnostic Gospels that expose the truth about their damam, blood. You decide. That was a chapter called The Blood, Paa Damam, inside the decision. Are there any questions, rereads, concerns, builds, add-ons? This is question and answer class. This is the platform of the master teacher. Tor, right back.
How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Just another day above ground.
Tor.
And I thought it was don't they have the discrepancy between the sacrifice between Isaac and Ishmael when they came to Abraham offer had to make an offer? Because according to the Quranic scripts, they saying that, or the Muhammadans, they saying that Ishmael was the one that was offered as a sacrifice as opposed to Isaac.
Mm-hmm. And what was just read was Isaac.
That's right.
Right. But when you go in the scriptures, who was put on the altar? Was it Isaac that was put on the altar? Or was it Ishmael? Ishmael was the firstborn son. Isaac is the second son. Ishmael had already left when this happened. He was sent away with his mother Hagar. So it was Isaac. In the scripture, it was Isaac. The Prophet Muhammad, he could not read Aramic Hebrew. Aramic coming from Aram, one of the sons of Shem, the grandson of Noah. Chief had dialects named after him. So it was Isaac, because that was his only son at the time, after his son Ishmael was sent away with Hagar, his mother. When you go into the Torah, Genesis, because the Prophet Muhammad, he never had a chance to read the Torah. He only had it recited to him and memorized it from what the angel would recite to him when he would come to him and he would recite to him.
Well, according to the Quran, it states that when the angel gave him the Quran, he told him to read. And he said he can't read that because it's in poetic. It was too advanced for him, like because he wasn't learned like that. So he said he can only read in the Croatian.
That's right. That's right.
So in the Quran said that we made the Quran made easy for you.
That's right.
So how is it that he, you know what I mean, it was recited to him when he first glanced at the Quran?
No, not the Quran was recited. The Torah was recited. The Torah, which predates the Quran. The Torah is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That was recited to him. So when you see verses, when you hear hadiths, which is stories about the prophet, and he's talking about things that happened previous in the Torah, that's from memorization from when he was taught through memory concerning the Torah, because he couldn't read that script, the Torah. He couldn't read the Torah. He couldn't read Aramic. He could only read Quraysh, his dialect, which was the tribe that he came through, coming through Kedar, one of the sons of Ishmael.
Second son.
That's right. Because Ishmael had 12 sons by one woman. Unlike Jacob, who had 12 sons by 4 different women. Right? And Ishmael was the first Arab, because his father was Chaldean Persian of Abraham, who crossed over the Euphrates River and was called the Hebrew, and his mother was Egyptian, Hagar. So a Chaldean, Persian, and Egyptian mixing made a mulatto, which gave birth to the Arab, which the word Arab means mixed, mingled seed.
But in the Quran it says that the Arab came from Arab.
Arabs of Arabia, that's true. But the word Arab,
it wasn't because of Ishmael. It was because of Arab. I forgot who was his dad, the father of Arab. It's mentioned, and there's a book.
No, I'm not saying because of Ishmael. I'm saying Ishmael was the first Arab. Ishmael was the first Arab. The word Arab means mixed, mingled seed. When Ishmael, he's the father of the Arabs. Do you agree, Ishmael?
he is considered to be the father of the Arabs, but he is of Aramic bloodline because of Abraham, and also Egyptian because of Hagar.
Overstood. Abraham was not Aramic.
That was already. Damn, I wish I had the
No,
Quran here, and I'll show you that. And their pops made it known that, Arab, was the father of the Arabians, of the Arab nation.
And all the scrolls that we have, he'll always. Well, I have El's Quran.
Let me see. I can probably pull it up in exploding DNA.
I have the scrolls here. We can go through it. You can go right into Paa Rayay, where he talks about the word Arab. If you look up the word Arab, you can even Google it. If you look up the word Arab, it means mixed, mingled seed. And Ishmael was the mixed, mingled seed that became the father of the Arab race because he is the progenitor of the Ishmaelites, in which the Prophet Muhammad comes through the line of Kedar. You follow that? Have you read Paa Rayay?
I got the old scroll.
Well, the new scrolls are important because he's breaking down how the Bible and the Quran have expired. So now he's actually exposing the Bible and the Quran and breaking down how that was never meant for Negroids, the Quran or the Bible. You know, the Quran was brought into Africa, Tanzania, Zanzibar. It was the Arabs. They were the first to enslave Africans. The Arab slave trade is still going on to this day. And then you had the Portuguese who came over in West Africa and started the West African slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade, and they brought in Christianity. And it was the Alhambra Shriners of Saudi Arabia who got together with the Knights of Columbus, Freemasonry of Europe. So Masons and Shriners got together to create a new form of Islam that would keep us spellbounded and binded in the West, because we were waking up to Africa. We were saying black power, and Marcus Garvey woke us up to go back to Africa, Negroid land, but they put us back to sleep with Islam when they brought in the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple. These were tools to keep us spellbound under the umbrella of religion of Islam, which is enforcing the spell of Leviathan, spiritual ignorance, and racial blindness. Cutting us off from direct contact from our own Salafu, our own ancestors. We no longer call on our great-grandmothers. We start calling on Allah. You got Africans calling on an Arabian deity. And that's an assimilation of their own culture. Now they're not in accordance with natural nature, because you are what you are before your soul and your spirit incarnates into flesh and blood. You are that which your soul and your spirit is. And you're going to go back to the oversoul from which your soul comes from. So whether you call on Allah or not, that still doesn't change the fact of who you are by natural nature. And Wu-Nawap is the first doctrine of natural nature. This is the ancient way of life, cultural way of life, that's proven to be incumbently necessary for the spiritual development and re-education of Negroids throughout the diaspora. So we have one who has come back with our language, has come back with our culture, because not only is this a DNA doctrine, but this is the DNA culture. It's a culture that's linked to your DNA. So if brothers and sisters cannot get with the culture, it's because it's not decoded in their genetics, in their DNA. On the 20th chromosome, HAR1 is a unique molecule that retains the characteristics of the Natharu, the beings who came down and set up the civilizations in ancient Egypt. That unique molecule was placed on the 20th chromosome of the Nagaru Salal, the Negroid race, which retained the properties of the Natharu. So we're linked by DNA, we're linked by genetics. Wu-Nawap is a DNA culture, a DNA doctrine. So Ishmael, being the son of Abraham, who was Chaldean of Ur, who came out of Mesopotamia, who they were into fire worshiping, because Abraham's father was Atar. He was a priest of Nanar. Nanar is Lucifer. Nanar is the god of light and fire. Nanar is An-Nur. That's the 93rd attribute of Allah. As the sun is 93 million miles away from the planet Earth. That's why he's called the light, because light is fire. And in ancient times, they used fire as a source of light. And even throughout the Quran, the Messiah is glorified throughout the Quran. Because the Messiah is the one who sent the Prophet Muhammad, according to the scriptures. All throughout the scriptures, it talks about the coming of the Prophet Muhammad. All throughout the Bible, I could pull up 6 Bible verses that's speaking directly about the coming of the Prophet Muhammad, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. You had a question, my brother?
Can you repeat that again when you said that about the light, as far as
The 93rd chapter of the Quran is called An-Nur, which translates the light. An-Nur. And the sun is 93 million miles away from this planet, Earth, which is the third orb or rock from the sun, which is 24,000 miles in circumference, as this is Project 24. The 93rd attribute of Allah is also An-Nur, which is the light. Allah is just a title, which means the source. You have different extraterrestrial beings that hide behind the title. Just like you have many presidents that use the title president. But there are 46 different presidents in American history so far. Donald Trump being 45th actually. It's 45 presidents. And it was how many dynasties in ancient Egypt? 46. So they're trying to get it up. Pattern after ancient Egypt. Pattern after Africa. That's why all throughout DC, the District of Columbia, which if you look at it from an aerial view, is shaped like a 5-pointed star. It has obelisks all throughout it, which is coming from ancient Egypt. The obelisk, which is the symbol of fertility, erected life, growth. But when you go into New York, or the New Yoke, as the yolk is the center part of the egg, you see the seat of the harlot with the 10 horns going around. As it said, a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And the Statue of Liberty has 10 horns going around it. So that's the seat of the harlot. That's where Donald Trump came out of New York. They showed Donald Trump on the first Ghostbusters movie, and he played himself, Donald Trump. As the Trump card is being played, as the trumpet is being blown by the Raphael, as 2018 takes its place and takes its course as we spring forth out of the winter solstice into the spring vernal equinox, right? Different things are taking place. Russia has expelled 60 U.S. diplomats. United States expelled 60 Russian diplomats. That's 6-6 right there. 2 6s. Then you have BRIC, right? Brazil, Russia, India, and China. 4 countries that's forming an alliance that's outside of the United Nations, which is made up of 196 countries. And they all banking on Africa, which is made up of 54 countries, which the United States can fit in Africa about 25 times, 24 times. So the master teacher is here ushering in all that's taking place as the man of the hour from 1970 to the year 2030. As the Messiah says in Revelation 22:16, I, Yeshua, have sent my angel to testify these things in the churches. He is the only one who went into the churches, which is symbolic of 7 major world religions: Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Zoroastrianism, fire worshiping, mysticism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. These are the 7 major religions on the planet Earth. And it's the master teacher who went into 3 of those major religions, who went and testified in the churches. He went into Judaism. He went into Islam. He went into Christianity. He's known as Rabboni Yahshua el-Bar Hadi, translated the Torah, translated the Psalms, translated the book of Revelations. Follow? You with me? Then he went into Christianity, translated the book of Revelations from Ashuric Syriac Arabic into English, from Greek into English, gave you the mistranslation of King James and the correct translation as Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York. And then he went into Islam as Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, as Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, and translated the Quran in 1970. That being the most accurate translation on the planet as El's Quran, as the brother was just talking about. So he went into the 3 monotheistic religions that our people as Negroids world over throughout the diaspora are involved in. We as Negroes are not in Buddhism or Hinduism or mysticism or Zoroastrianism. You either find Negroids in Judaism as Hebrew Israelites, Christianity as Baptist, Pentecostal, all the different denominations, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, and you also find us in Islam, right? You find us as Ansars, you find us as the Nation of Islam, you find us as Moorish Science Temple, Shiite, Ahmadiyya, Sunni, all these different denominations of one, which is all governed by the laws that was attributed by Moses, who did not receive the laws until he came out of Egypt, Negroid land, as he spent his whole childhood in Egypt. And those first tablets that he received from Tammuz, which is the grandson of Nanar, he came down and he seen the children of Israel still worshiping ancient Egyptian deities. And he got frustrated and mad. Because when you go to Jeremiah 46:25, it says, the Lord, the host, I am the Lord, the host. I am about to punish Amun, the god of Thebes. So right in the Bible, you see conflict of the gods. You see conflict with Anunnaki and the Natharu. You see, because the gods of the Bible are the Anunnaki. So you see the Anunnaki. You see the contradictions. You see in Hosea 12:9, I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt. Then you see in Jeremiah 46:25, I'm about to punish Amun, the god of Egypt. But then at the end of prayers, Christians say, Amen. Muslims say, Amen. So at the end of all that praying to 6 ether, at the end of your prayer, you praise 9 ether. Because Amun Rayay is the king of the gods. Amun Rayay is one of the ones who was involved in the Dolphin Project, the seeding of this planet. When we were sent here from Sirius and Orion to this planet as a germ and grew out of the waters millions of years later. We grew out of the waters. We came out of the waters of mermaids and mermen. That's your Ogdoads into the Enneads. So now we have one who has Nazala incarnated, who is here with us to set the record straight, to give us the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth. Because truth is truth, and the truth is not apologetic. The truth does not have to apologize. It is what it is. And it's been going on, it's going on 16 years now since he has been wrongfully incarcerated. They denied his medical transfer from Maximum State Penitentiary, Colorado, to South Carolina. They denied his medical transfer as he has angioedema, which translates as angel blood or blood of the angels. Because the being that's inside of him, Yaanun, is a being that went inside of his mother's womb at the 9th month of birth and sat himself inside the driver's seat of Malachi. As Malachi translates as my angel, Malachi. As the book of Malachi was written by the angel Michael, as the book of Revelations was given by the angel Michael to the prophet John at the age of 99 in the island of Patmos, the Greek Isles. But it was the prophecy of the Messiah. And that is the book that we're living in now. We're living in the book of Revelations. We're walking with the angel that the Messiah said. He said, I'm going to send my angel to testify these things. That angel is here now. That's why when you see these Paa Taraqs, it says revelation of the Nawaupians. As the book of Revelations is actually an ancient Egyptian scroll. And it speaks about the Amen in Revelations chapter 3, verse 14. As the Amen, who was there to witness the creation of the other gods, the Yahwehians, the Elihats.
Break them down.
He witnessed the creation. That's why he put out scrolls like, I was there, which is here. As the spiritual realm is operating at 180 degrees to the physical realm. And you see this on the pyramid walls. As you have 180 degrees of willpower. 90 degrees of agreeable, 90 degrees of disagreeable. All it takes is 1% for you to shift to either side. So you must constantly feed yourself with Wu-Nawap, the cultural DNA doctrine that will heal and reveal truths that you may be liberated, because ye shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. So it's imperative to read. This is the literature of God. As Malachi Zodak is in the office of Melchizedek. Melchizedek. Who is Melchizedek? When you go into Hebrews, you see that Melchizedek is a high priest after the order of the Most High. When you go into Genesis, when Abraham met Melchizedek came through with bread and wine. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything that he had. That's where the Christians are getting tithing from. Give a tenth of what you make. Because he gave a tenth to everything and he prostrated. And Melchizedek said, no, you prostrate for the Most High. But he was known as the high priest of the Most High. And the Messiah was inducted into the order of Melchizedek, which means the Messiah is a high priest after Melchizedek. And Melchizedek is here with us now, preparing the way for the Messiah, as he is the forerunner. As 2,000 years ago, John the Baptist was the one who prepared the way for the Messiah. Now in the new millennium, as the Messiah was set to come in 2007, according to Revelations chapter 14, verse 12, El's Holy Injil. The Holy Tabernacle Ministries was waiting for the return of the Messiah 2007. That's what it says in there. Which means that the Messiah will be going on 11 years old this year. As it was told by a Shriner that Har and Har is here already. And both of them got 19 letters in their name. And they in the tri-state area. But only the master teacher knows who this being is, as he's the preparer, as he's the one that's ushering in, as he's the fourth wind and the forerunner. As the first one was Marcus Moses Garvey. That was the first one. He woke us back up to Africa. Then Noble Drew Ali, who was saying that we were Canaanites, speaking of the Negroid son of Canaan, because Canaan had 12 sons. 11 of them were Caucasian, one of them was Nagaru, because he married his own sister. Well, he had children with his own sister. And he also had Flugeride women that he mixed with in the cave. And then you had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was spoken and prophesied to come about in Malachi chapter 4, verse 5, where it says, I will send you Elijah the prophet, and he will turn the hearts of the father to the sons, and the hearts of the sons to the father, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. That's what it says. And the great and dreadful day is upon them now, because the actual facts are coming out, are out. So their lies is being exposed. You know, Adam was not the first man. Job 14:1 says Adam, who was born of a woman and yet is full of trouble. It says man in the English, but when you go to the original Hebrew language, you see Adama. Adam had a belly button, which connects to an umbilical cord, which grows from the placenta inside the womb of a woman. And he had children who had umbilical cords that connected to the placenta, because Eve had Cain and Abel, right? You get 23 chromosomes for your father and 23 from your mother, which is 33 and a third, father, mother, child. 99%, that 100%, making up that 100%. So the master teacher is here with us now, even writing from inside the belly of the beast, in the mountain tomb. Just like Murdoch was trapped in a mountain tomb for a certain amount of time, right? As Ishtar is the one that was responsible for Murdoch's incarceration in the mountain tomb, because Ishtar thought that Murdoch was responsible for his own brother, which happened to be her husband, Dumuzi's death. That same thing, the cycle has repeated itself, as two brothers share his body. Murdoch and Ningishzida, two beings of the Anunnaki, share his body, trapped in the mountain tomb, as he talks about in the Psalms of Yaanun, chapter 3. Follow?
I got to bring my book. I got a lot of kitabs. You hear me?
Tour.
I got a majority, like. So I'm gonna see if I bring it, and we could, cause I don't wanna keep beating a dead horse, but I was gonna say, is that the same Damuzi that is mentioned of Ashtoreth weeping for in the Bible?
Well, that was Tammuz. That's this. Damuzi is the father of Tammuz. Ezekiel 8:14, it was Tammuz that was being wept for by Israelite women. Tammuz, who is the grandson of Lucifer, Nanar. Because Ishtar is the daughter of Nanar. And Tammuz is the son of Ishtar, which makes Nanar the grandson of Lucifer, or the god of light and fire, Nanar, who was the anointed cherub spoken about in Ezekiel, right? Isaiah 14, 12 through 16.
That's right, Shakar.
Shakar. That's Nanar. That's Lucifer. That's the light bearer. That's the god of light and fire.
The morning star.
The morning star. Where also the Messiah was called the morning star. In Revelation 22:16, it says, I am the bright and morning star. And that's how you give birth to the image of the beast and have, all these different images of the Messiah when it gives the description of him. In the scripture, it says that he had hair like wool, white as snow. Because John was seeing the Messiah at the age of 120. Because when John received the book of Revelations, he was already 99 years old. And the Messiah was 20 years older than John of Zebedee, who happened to be his nephew. And John the Baptist happened to be his cousin and his brother. Because the angel, Gabriel, is the same angel who went inside of Mariam and went inside of Elizabeth. He's the one who took a bashar, mortal form, and gave the spermatozoa to them, impregnated them. No different from the sons of God that took the daughters of men, Genesis 6, 4 and 5. When they raped the daughters of men and birthed men of renown, Giborites, Giberenes, mighty men from these extraterrestrial genetics. But they still had to have 46 chromosomes in order to give off 23 to create a being or human beings on this planet of the Adamite race. So it was the Adamites women that was raped, not Afaf Rayay Ka'eu. The Africans had their own overlords, and that was the Green Nupu zone. They were not even allowed to come into that region until the electromagnetic fence came down, which brought in the carnivores to the side of the herbivores and the omnivores. Because at one point, Africa on down was all Africa to South America. That was the green zone. That was Nupu. That was all herbivores. Beings that only ate of that which grows out of the earth. And then.
And you talking about when it was called Ganawa?
Ganawa, Tor. Greeks call it Pangaea, and Atlantis was the capital.
So when you talking about the green part of the green land, that's when all this was together.
Tor.
It was amalgamated before the deportation took place, right?
That's right. Electromagnetic grids. Same thing. You see them dogs and they be running up and they can only come to a certain point. You don't see no fence, but they collar don't let them go no further. You know what I mean? Those electromagnetic fences that stop certain dinosaurs from coming in. Because you had herbivorous dinosaurs. You had dinosaurs that did not even eat flesh and meat. When Osiris came, it was during the time of, it was a lot of carnivores on the planet. And it speaks about how he tried to change their diet. Asar, he tried to change their diet. They was into eating meat during this time. The fence had already shifted. It had already took place.
Yeah, there was into capitalism. Him and Isis had helped civilize ancient Egypt.
That's right.
To its pristine purity.
That's right.
Just by they honored that way.
That's right. And it was Osiris where the 3 days and the 3 nights of the Messiah, as this is Easter Sunday, right? It was Osiris who went through the duat. 3 days or 72 hours.
The underworld, right?
The underworld. Before he went and sat on the throne as Asar. Panat, or the Heavenly Father. So when you speak about the Heavenly Father, that's talking about Asar.
Ain't that the same when that happened to Lazarus, when he had died and came back up in the third and resurrected the same way with Jesus? You know what I mean? Ain't that some type of a code, a Masonic code that when Osiris went into the Duat and came back out, and then he was brought up to be into the throne of his pharaohship.
Yes.
Him going through a ritual, right?
Yes. These are rituals and rites, but he actually was killed. The killing that happened, that wasn't a ritual. That really happened when he died, and that's how he had to go through the duat, the journey of 72 hours before the underworld, before he sat to come on the throne. So absolutely, and he was not the only one who, after 3 days, came back. Elijah raised a dead child back to life. the prophet Elijah,
That's right.
who didn't experience physical death. He was taken up in chariots of fire, just like Enoch didn't experience physical death. He was taken up,
So
just like the Messiah was taken up. That's
you
why
mean that they was abducted?
abducted. That's one way to look at it. Abduction is
I mean,
by.
they never experienced a physical death, and they was taken by a chariot of fire. And
Yeah.
according to the book of Ezekiel, that chariot of fire comes out to being an identified flying object.
That's right.
So that means that an abduction took place.
Well, if it was consensual,
Well,
if it was consensual, is it an abduction? If it's consensual,
if it was, they never said it was consensual.
they never said they wasn't in agreement with it. Look, Enoch didn't want to come back. His son Methuselah wanted to know what happened to him. And he said that's why Methuselah lived so long, because he said, yo, I'm not dying till I find out what really happened to my father.
Hey, but I thought according to this scroll here, towards the conclusion, that Isa or Jesus, Joshua, he went into as he was ascending, his whole physical being was descending back into the earth.
You talking about when he was baptized by John the Baptist?
No, when he was dying.
Well,
According to that book right there, a holy trial, fact or fiction.
yeah, and according to other scrolls, the Messiah, he was taken up into a craft at the age of 120.
That's right, as well as the Prophet Muhammad.
That's why the Prophet Muhammad, he died.
No, the Prophet Muhammad went to Jerusalem, but
he
went up and
but he came back
Then he came back
and then died.
This is when Abraham had Gabriel had told him this is Abraham and introduced him
Yeah.
to Abraham when he was up.
Yeah, he experienced, that was Muhammad's elevation, when they say he rode a white mule, which was really a craft. They just didn't know how to describe
No way you
it.
want-
But it was called Barack, same way as the president, like Barack Obama. Now he came back down and he died. He died at the age of 62. The Prophet Muhammad. He died from poison.
That's right.
You know, but the Messiah, according to the Bible, he died at the age of 33. But when you read other scrolls that predate the Bible, when it says that he died on the cross, we know that that's the aerial view looking down at the eye of a pyramid where he ascended from Giza and he rose from the eye of the pyramid. So when you look down, it makes a cross at the center of the top of the pyramid. You follow? Mm-hmm. And you can refer to that in the Holy Tablets.
But I know that he also resurrected though, because Mary and them and the disciples seen them. You know what I mean? And they ain't even recognize him at the garden, according to the book of the Holy Trial.
Torah. And according to the book of Barnabas, he never even was put on the cross. He was made to look out. That's why the Nicene Council removed the book of Barnabas, because it contradicted the other gospels.
But it's right, because the Quran had this.
That's right.
And said that he put a transfigure onto Judas.
That's right.
Judas was the one that got.
And that's the accurate story.
That's right.
That's the true story. That's the one thing that the Quran has right. That the Messiah was never put on the cross, and that Judas was made disfigured for his face made to look like the Messiah. And they took Judas, put Judas on the cross. Then after Judas was put on the cross, they took him down and hung him on a tree.
Yeah.
And the Messiah, he never was put on the cross, according to the book of Barnabas. That's why the Nicene Council, the Vatican at Rome, decided to remove that book, because it contradicted the other books. And Barnabas was the son of Joseph from another woman, which was the stepbrother of the Messiah. So your stepbrother would pretty much know you better than anybody else. Somebody who's your brother, they know the whole truth. And the book of Barnabas is also one of the seven seals, because you had seven seals, right? You had the book of you have El Sahuf, that was the first seal. Adam received the book of life, 10 pure pages, right? Seth received the book of sin, 30 pure pages, right? Abraham received the book of generation, 10 pure pages. And Enoch received the book of time, 50 pure pages, 100 pure pages. Right? This was the first seal. Then you had the Torah. Then you had the book of wisdom, which received by Luqman, which is coming through Abraham's third son, through Keturah, Midian. Luqman comes through the line of Midian. So Abraham had three sons by three different women, which created three different national tribes: the Ishmaelites, the Israelites, and the Midianites. Then you had the book of Psalms. Then you had the book of Barnabas. Then you had Revelations, and you had the Quran.
Now, what was in the book Is Jesus God? They was talking about it was a sapphire stone, a ruby stone, and an emerald stone that was given to Adam and Eve.
Torah.
And Satan had used the red stone in order to get them into doing the acts that they did. So
Originally, it was 24 me stones. Me stones. And these stones were circular, crystal-like disc that you inserted into a device, and it will project a hologram made up of gas, light, and sound. 4D. Sort of what you see on Black Panther, where they show you the holograms coming out of their little stone balls that they have, the beads that's around their bracelet. Right? So, when it says Satan, that's also known as 6. Because Tahuti was the 6th son of Tatum and Sekhuntet. They had 6 sons. He was the 6th son. The first son was Amun. The 6th son was Tahuti. He told the truth in the garden. He seduced her with the red me stones of lust and taught her the wisdoms of Kama Sutra, which is now known in Hinduism. If you go into the Hindu story, it will be Ningis Zidda. If you go into ancient Egypt, it will be Tahutwi. And it was Tahutwi or Ningis Zidda that taught her with holographic imagery from projected 4D images from a crystal stone that was injected into a device and taught her the wisdoms of pleasure. And she also took his liquid gold, his mafkuzet, his bread of life, his holy sperm, through the opening of the mouth ceremony as she performed fellatio on him. And her eyes was open. And she actually lived to be 1,000 years old. So she outlived Adam. Torah.
You know the mouth ceremony is done when the person is deceased and it helps them to go through the other.
Yeah, the Osiris as far as in ancient Egypt. But when I'm speaking about is fellatio, that's why I said fellatio, she performed oral sex on him.
No,
she opened her mouth.
Because the mouth ceremony is basically...
Yes, that's the well-known mouth ceremony as far as resurrecting your ancestors.
Well,
as in Osiris, the opening of the mouth ceremony that was performed on him to bring about Har, using men's genetics, the deity Min, M-I-N. That was the deity, his sperm was used.
because all kings and noblemen went through a mouth ceremony.
That's right, because they knew that they were going to come back in the latter day. That's the whole purpose. And that's
a book you never said about was the book of
ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead.
the Shepherd of Jehudi, or the Shepherd of Saul.
Well,
that's in the Coptic Bible.
Oh yeah, Torah. That's the master hasn't. That's not one of our scrolls. You follow? Like even the Catholic Bible, they have more books. They have the Book of Maccabees.
It was what, 81?
81?
81 altogether.
Okay. 81.
The Maccabee.
And 325 AD is when it was decided by 37 scholars
At the Council of Nicaea.
which books will make up the Bible of today.
I agree. That's 100% right.
Which ties into the mitochondria DNA.
But they still had 70 something. It was during the colonial period where they took out some more between the 15th and the 1600s.
Yeah, that's right.
During the Renaissance period where they was coming out of the Black Ages and.
You mean when they were canonized?
No, they was already canonized.
Because I know there was only, according to the way the master teacher says, there's only 66 books in the Bible.
Yeah, it's 66 books in the Bible of today. The King James Bible, which was 1611 AD.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why if you, the spell of that Bible, the Bible and the Quran have both expired. That has expired. And that's why if you take the 66 books of the Bible, right? The 66 books of the Bible plus 50 equals 116 plus 1 equals 117. And if you subtract anybody's age before the year 2000 from 117, you're going to get the year that you were born. You can do it. It won't work for nobody after 2000 because the spell has been lifted and the expiration on the Bible and the Quran has expired coming into the new millennium. This is the hereafter. Remember, the guide has already came. Al-Mahdi, that was his great-grandfather. Now we're with Pa Mujdud, the renewer, who's here now. That's why the doctrine that we're getting is brand new outformation. It's things that never even heard of before. Things that totally expose the Bible and Quran and all the contradictions. This is the doctrine that he was sent to give the black race world over. This is the doctrine that he was sent to give. Whether brown, black, yellow, if you accept him in truth, as he says. Right? He says it right here in the Beatitudes. What does the master teacher says? Eye marora, karadu shalil Wu-Nawap, my beloved children of Wu-Nawap, Munwap-u, Nawaupians of Faturaism, animism. I am the father and the Manthar or warner for the Nagaru Salau, Negroid race. Let me, Natuk, speak to you on your Ҭabat, Beatitudes. Remember, the Messiah also had the Beatitudes, he said on the sermon. O my people of Lawan, color, be you Kamam, black, Samir, brown, or Safir, yellow, everywhere. Nakuk Pa Nabab Yaanun. I, the Master Yaanun, announce to you all this way, this truth, and this Hadoyan, guidance, as your warner. So he was sent world over to the black race. Browns, yellows, browns, Indians, even yellows, Asians. They also will accept truth. And they can also gain salvation through Wu-Nawap. Even Caucasians. If they can accept the whole truth and nothing but the truth, they can also gain salvation. Because every time a Caucasian woman has sex with a black man, he gives his essence to her. And her children can be born with souls, even if she hasn't had a soul. And she raises up from 6 ether to 9 ether. Tor.
Can you elaborate a little more about in the Book of Revelation where it says to come out of her, as far as what are they talking about? Come out of where? Is it come out of America? Or is it
You got to show me what you're talking about. You got to give me the chapter and the verse, and we can go right into it.
It says come out of her, my people, or you will.
Revelations what?
I don't know.
Well, come out of her. I could just use the non-mind. Come out of her. This is Babylon. This is the new Babylon. So the master teacher is telling us right now, we got to get ready. Get your passports. Get your yellow fever shot. Get your visa. You're going to need that when it's time to go back to Negroid land, the motherland, where it's 54 countries that they, divided it into the 54 countries when the Arabs came in there. We got to get ready to go back because in order to get in certain countries, you're going to need your shot. And there's a shortage on the vaccination. This vaccination costs about $310. You got to go about an hour and 45 minutes out to Jersey by the water just to get this shot, which stays what you was supposed to cover you for the rest of your life once you get that shot, that yellow fever shot. And this is what you'll need to get in certain countries, West African countries, like such as Liberia, Mali, Ghana. These are places, Trinidad. These are places that the master teacher is setting up in position for us to go back and continue the Marcus Garvey mission, right? Going back to Africa, where we'll be looking from Negroid land, Africa, at Babylon crumble and fall, because it says in 1 hour it will fall. And from 1970 to 2030 is that hour. By 2030, Babylon is supposed to have, the infrastructure has supposed to have caved in of this country. There are certain things that are supposed to take place. It's supposed to be a blackout over the country, throughout the whole country. Puerto Rico is still in darkness 6 months later. It's still in darkness. We have not experienced what Puerto Rico is experiencing right now, but it's coming. It's coming. This 2018, the trumpet has been blown. The Trump card is being played. Trump is in the presidential seat. Russia, the bear in China, the dragon. Oh, they getting ready. They getting ready. They have marches with their armies and their tanks. They have missiles that can come in through the Hudson or the Schuylkill River. Knock down the infrastructure of a bridge. Once the bridge falls, that's a wrap. Transportation. You won't be able to get from West Philly to North Philly because you got to cross the river to get from West Philly to North Philly. This is real. The master teacher is waking us up. He's restoring our language, our culture, so we can get back connected with our own ancestors. We can be on that straight path. He's setting us up. He's telling us to get gold. Telling you to get your passports, your visas. He's getting you ready because once he comes home, if you ain't got it together while he's in jail, you ain't gonna be able to keep up with him when he come home. He's gonna be repatriated to Africa. He's a Liberian diplomat. A diplomat should not be in a U.S. penitentiary. He's in a U.S. penitentiary, the worst penitentiary in the United States, United Snakes of America, in the mountains, Colorado, near Mount Shasta, right?
How long have you been in Colorado?
He's been in Colorado, it's going on 16 years.
He was in general population.
Yeah.
He was in
But he wasn't in general population for long.
He was in Coleman, right?
I'm not sure, but he's been in Colorado for over 12 years. Over 12 years he's been in Colorado, and you must have came in a little later. His medical transfer was denied because he's supposed to be getting transferred to the Carolinas. They denied that because he got angioedema. He just had an angioedema attack on Thursday. It's angel blood where he swelled up. His esophagus could not breathe.
I'm trying to, if I met him, because I was in the feds for 20 years.
Okay.
Straight.
Okay. Now it's going on 16 years that he's been in. Wrong. And he's been writing the whole time he's been in jail. I'm talking about I see your hand, in an unlit cell. No Hebrew Strong's Concordance dictionary. Giving you Hebrew Strong's Concordance. Just writing until his hand hurt. Just writing.
I think I met him.
You may have met him. If you was in Florence Max. You was in Florence Max?
No.
Oh.
Marion.
He was in Marion.
Was he in a Coleman?
He was in Marion.
He was in Marion. And he has converted skinheads to right knowledge. He's converted so many people to right knowledge. The truth is out and they can't hide it. All eyes shall see the Lamb. This is who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said was going to come with 76 trillion years of affirmation and information. He said when that man comes, who's going to have a book with him, talking about the holy tablets, which expose the Bible and the Quran. The holy tablets told the true stories of the Bible and the Quran, which was thousands of stone tablets that the master teacher translated and put out in a book form so we can have access to it. The same stone tablets that archaeologists have found and dug up in Iraq and Iran. These same thousands of stone tablets from 1845 to 1847, right around the time his great-great-grandfather was being born. These stone tablets was being discovered. And these are the stone tablets that the master teacher, having access to the Akasha records, the meat stones and things of that nature, was able to translate it and put it out for us so we can have the holy tablets. The most accurate translation, probably more accurate than the actual stone tablets that they got. Because this is the master of heaven and earth. He's the teacher of the universe. Yaanun is a being from the plane of risk. The energy on that planet is, can't even imagine. You got 3 suns sitting in their skies. Riskian skies.
Well, what about
Tri-solar system.
What about the hypnotic spell of sleep though? The Kingu spell that's supposed to be broken within that time period of what you're saying.
Yeah, the hypnotic spell of Kingu, Leviathan. This spell was placed on the Nagaru. 6,000 year spell, right? And this spell is being broken. There are many of our people that are still under this spell. You know what I'm saying? I got cousins that's die-hard Paulites. They're not even Christians. They follow everything Paul says. They don't even know what the Messiah said because they so busy following Paul. This is the spell. The spell is real. When the truth is right in front of your face and you can't see the truth for what it is, you rather walk in blind faith and belief. This is a part of the spell of spiritual ignorance. Spiritually ignorant. Racial blindness. They don't even see the racism in the scriptures. They don't see the racism in the Quran. Spiritual blindness. So this is all as part of the spell of spiritual ignorance, the spell of Leviathan, a gigantic dragon force, which is really going back 18 million years. The spirit forces of Leviathan when they came to this planet, and this planet is controlled by sex spirit force of Leviathan. You know, you got your Molech, Malachim. You know, these are different names operating under Leviathan, Leviathan, Lawi Tananin, the dragon man, dragon spirit force. Gigantic spirit force that's controlling the planet through sex, lust, and pleasures. And these are your Dragonians as well. Where you get names like Drake. Derivative of Draconian. And you see his music is all about his little relationships.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ask you, is the hip hop also playing a part of the spell? Also,
yes, originally hip hop was put here to combat the spell of Leviathan. It was a war on words, truth against lies, where you had conscious rappers that was spitting actual facts and truth that was all being touched by Michael, Malachi, Yaanun, Baba Yaanun. They were being touched by him. Africa Bambaata's first project was produced by Dr. York. Everybody in New York was going to Dr. York studios and recording in the 80s, the 70s. There's so many songs that he's written through the 70s and 60s where he got paid under the table for ghostwriting. Became a millionaire for writing music. Before he even was well known for his books. He was well known for his music all throughout Great Britain, conscious music. Wake up all the children, no more sleeping in bed. He wrote that for Teddy Pendergrass. Stevie Wonder was one of his best friends. And then they hit African Bambaataa with the child molestation accusations. And he's a devout follower of Baba Yaanun, Malachi, the angel. The United States government know what time it is. They know that the black race has a supreme being amongst them that was sent to them to expose the lies and give them actual facts. No longer walking in faith and belief. That's dead. Walking by faith is ignorance. You need to walk by sight. You need to see where you are going, else you will be like sheep going to the slaughter with their eyes wide open. Yes, brother. You got
okay, now, okay. All right, first of all, now, when I see the sun, right? The sun, right? Okay. That means that the ancestors I knew is coming from the sun. I come here every time to get more strong. Now the sun, right? When I start getting back up my chanting and chakras, right? The sun. Okay, that's my blessings.
Yes, the master teacher says, walk in the light of the sun as if all can see you at all times. This was Atum Rayay speaking this. He says, walk in the light of the sun as if all can see you at all times. Bathe in the light of the sun. We have sunlit genes. Your genetics are activated by the sun. You get vitamin D from the sun, but there's also radiation. There's also holes in the atmosphere now where the sun can also cause damage. But those who have the complexion for the protection, the melanite race, they have the chemical melanin which filters radiation and charges up their central nervous system through their vortexes, the black holes in their eyes.
Okay, now, the main question I want to ask you is, I have more questions about it. Okay, so you're saying the ancestors come from the sun. Do the ancestors come from?
You got healing energy that comes from the sun. Do the ancestors come from the sun? No. The ancestors are not coming from the sun. The sun birthed planets. Suns birth planets. The planet that we're on came out of the sun. You can refer to existence how and why. The sun bursts orbs. Everything is in accordance with natural nature. A universe grows out of a multiverse. It takes a universe 9 years to be born, which is the gestation period in months for human life expectancy inside our Mudatat Raham, our mother's womb. Our ancestors is coming from Risk, the planet Risk, Razak.
The Sky Lord? Will the Sky Lord watch everything we do?
They are the watchers. They are watching, yes.
Okay.
They are watching.
Now, I'm going to get on point something. Now, okay. Now, you saying the sex spirit. Now, hold on. Young boy told me that homosexuality, right, was the sin.
Okay.
Now, I got one or two female girls that I deal with. Okay, now, so even though if I can't get to them sometime, whatever, I mean, I'm personal business. I'll take care of my own self. Now, what I'm saying is, hold on. I'm saying is, when I was so-called molested as a young child, I still had thoughts about a male. But I fought that feeling, stayed a man.
That's what's up.
Okay, now, so would they look at me like, okay, if I be all...
Who was they? The ancestors?
Yeah.
The ancestors judge you by your intentions and not by your actions. So you will be judged according to your intentions, what you intended to do, not by what you actually did. So we're judged by our actions, and homosexuality is also part of natural nature. You have animals, you have flies that can change their sex. You have fruit flies that can change from female to male. You have beings at birth. Pharaoh Akhenaten, he wasn't a homosexual, but he was a hermaphrodite. He had a female spirit inside of a male body. These are your gatekeepers. These are the ones that are divine. And some of those who have the opposite spirit being inside of their body, that spirit being may be attracted to the same physical body. Like a man with a female spirit may be attracted to men. And he may have been born like that. That's not a sin for him if he was born that way at conception. That may be the way that is the way that natural nature had him to be, because these are the gatekeepers. These are the ones that vibrate at a higher frequency, but because they're connected simultaneously to the spiritual realm and the physical realm. Because they're vibrating, because they're dual gender. They have the opposite spirit inside of their body. Now, those who are that way by conversion, that is something different. They are hormone sexual. They're doing what pleases their hormone, or even trisexual, trying anything sexual that pleases them. And these things can happen and be affected also while the child is being carried inside the womb. If the mother is going through, if you're constantly arguing and is aggressive, it could be a spirit force. That spirit force, while it's developing, it can develop into a female spirit force inside of a male body, or vice versa. Male spirit force inside of a female body. Just by stress and arguing at the third trimester is very important. Not to stress out women while they're pregnant, because it can affect the sex of the child spiritually. And also, you got different chemicals that are put into the atmosphere. Gay gas, chemtrails, which is also affecting hormones. You got people,
Gay gas.
yeah, chemtrails, chemical trails that they spray in the air and it falls down, and it's toxins that get inside of our body, and it changes our genetics.
I heard
Add on.
weed that make you gay.
Excuse me?
I heard you had a form of weed that make a person gay.
I don't know. I never heard of that.
Okay.
But these different gases these different chemicals affect you, which is called epigenetics. Epi is to add on. So from these chemicals that's getting inside of your system, it's affecting you on a molecular level. It's affecting your DNA. It's affecting your genes, whether it's chromosome amplification or chromosome deletion. You follow? You with me?
Yeah.
So this can affect you, which is called epigenetics, which the master teacher introduces epigenetics in intelligent design, divine design, or plot of the aliens. Everything that you see, everything that you hear is shaping you, whether you are aware of it or not. You can be asleep and the cops can go by, and now you can start dreaming about running from the police. This is epigenetics. What is happening on the outside is changing what is going on the inside. Change the way you think. Change the way you feel.
You spoke something. Go ahead.
Okay. So now I pleased my mom yesterday, right, and went to the Passover. Now I'm saying, okay, now when they say Adam and Eve, right, the serpent said, eat this fruit else you'll become like God. Why didn't they teach you the wisdom of God on a real original form of that aspect of life?
For one, they didn't know. It's only so far back that the Adamites could go. They didn't know about their real existence. They're being taught about themselves by our incarnate overseer. Our master teacher is teaching them the truth about themselves and how Adam was grafted, created, and made, and how he also had mother and father prior to adding on gene manipulation, grafting, how he was taken, how he was born 3761 BCE in the Jewish calendar of Tammuz. They didn't know the truth, so they had to rewrite history. That's why the word history, you break that down, that's his story.
I know.
So they're telling their stories, right? Which is also a theory because they really don't know. So they theorize with theoretics and theologians going into theocracy of their theos, God, which is the scriptures now, which is expired as the year 2000. This all expired. That does not apply to the Negroids, the gods of the Bible and the Quran. What's for us is in Africa.
So how would I explain to them in detail?
How do you explain
to the people about how Adam and Eve said, how he said you'll become like gods, knowing good and evil?
Well,
how do I explain that to them?
He told the truth. You explain it as the so-called serpent told the truth. Everything that he said was right and exact. He said, you will not die. They did not die. Eve lived to 1,000 years. Adam lived 900 years. He said, you will be like God. You will know good from evil. Once they did that, they was like God. They knew good from evil. So everything that the so-called serpent, talking snake, told them the truth. You're talking about Genesis 3:1. We don't have a Bible in here, but we could.
The book ceremony, marriage ceremony talks about when they ate the poppy seed. The whole thing was to eat the poppy seed and have sex in the sign of the Aries and throw the whole continent off.
Sure.
And Aries, that's what.
Those right and exact is different degrees to right knowledge. So in certain schools, you have certain stories that vary. But now, as the information is being updated, we know that Eve, it wasn't a poppy seed. It was actually a meat stone, a technological crystal-like circular disc that projected 4D holographic imagery of gas, light, and sound. And 4D hologram. You seen holograms. You know what a hologram is. These meat stones will project a hologram. And from this hologram is how she was taught the wisdoms of pleasure. And she gained an elongated life because she betook of his liquid gold, his elixir of life. The Hutwi, she performed fellatio. Eve performed fellatio on the Hutwi. The seraphim that was in the garden called the serpent who was telling the truth. Who was of the seraphim. Seraphim, the agreeable.
The seraphim.
Watchers, Torah. So this was Zahutwi that was telling her the truth, telling her about herself. Because Eve was of Afaf Rayay Ka'ah. Eve was of Africa. She was taken from South Africa and placed into the enclosed garden for these experiments because they was breeding the Adamite race as a food source and also to be workers, the Anunnaki and the Pleiadians. That's why they was created.
So Adam was disagreeable and Eve was agreeable?
Yes, Adam was of the Atumites, which was disagreeable. Yes. And Eve was of the Patahites, which were agreeable. Yes.
You said Eve was from the Ptah.
Patahites. Eve's father and mother was Ptah and Anath. Adam's father and mother was Atum and Lilith. The negative blood type is coming from Adam. The positive blood type is coming from Eve. Eve was taken from South Africa. Adam was taken from Mesopotamia. So this is an Indian and an African that's creating the Adamite race, which is the birth of whites and reds. Because from black, all colors come. You follow that?
Indian and Adamites come.
The Adam of East Indian, Dravadu.
Yeah.
East Indian. You follow?
Yeah.
Eve, black, Patahite. She was taken from Africa.
Yeah.
So Adam was Indian, and Eve was Negroid. So an Indian and a Negroid is the progenitors of the Adamite race, which is the birth of Europeans and Arabs, whites and reds. You with me?
You said Indian and
Indian man, Adam, East Indian,
Yeah.
Dravidian, Indian man, East Indian.
and Africa. That's
No, I'm not saying India, Africa. I'm saying Indian, African. Indian man who was Adam, black skin, straight hair, straight wavy 7 ether.
yeah.
Adam, he was East Indian,
Yeah.
and Eve was African, Patahite
Okay, so
of South Africa. These two were brought together to bring forth the Adamite race. They were the progenitors of the Adamite race. Indian and an African created whites and reds, Europeans and Arabs. You follow?
So you saying, you said, oh my, because my grandpa was darker than him. Okay, so therefore he entered into a half Cherokee and half Irish, and I came out. My pop was like his complexion.
Okay. Sure.
According to the scriptures, like the Adam that you talking about is Zakar.
That's right.
He existed 49,000 years prior to the 6,000 year Adam, because there were several Adams, according to what the master teacher said. And he was the son of Atum and Lilith, and Eve was the son of the Tar, and they was taken up to somewhere in the region where it's supposed to be where the Garden of Delight was supposed to be take place, but really was a laboratory for them to get there and
Shemti.
because they were created by the extraterrestrials. And this is also recorded in 360 questions to ask a Christian, if I'm correct, and several other places who existed before Adam and Eve. It also breaks that down there too. And they're saying that that they come from, and they mention them Zakar and all that in the Bible, because they're saying that in the Bible it says that God said He created man, him and her. And this is in reference to the ones in 49,000 years.
Do you have this?
I told you I apologize, but I don't.
Well, it's important that you get updated
the ones
information.
I got is the ones that you see right there. You see
Hold on. It's important that you get updated information because the information is being updated.
Of course.
And what you just spoke of is inaccurate. Zakar, Adap, and Adam is all the same being.
Well, I heard that the Adam that the Caucasians talk about is the Adam. It's
the same Adam, just different dialects.
It's Lebanon. It's Canaan. That's their Adam. See, that's the ones the way Pops have.
No, I understand what you're saying. As Canaan is the progenitor of the 11 sons of the 200 fallen angels incarnated into 11 sons. Those were 11 of the Caucasian sons. Hameth was the one son that was Nagaru. But Adam and Eve, Zakar, Cadmon, Adapa, that's all the same being. It's just different dialects. And he breaks it down. He breaks it down in the chapter called The Bloods. He gives their blood type and traces the root. And
O positive.
And no, he was not O positive.
Oh, well, according to 360.
All right, that's what I'm saying. The information is being updated.
Yeah. I'm not. Well, you gotta understand understand where I'm coming from.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm coming from the original, the older tab.
It's not the original.
Sure.
It's not the original. It was just a time period that was given to bring you to a better understanding or insight with your mind. Your body's here, but your mind is there. You gotta catch it with your mind, not your body.
Sure.
Understand?
Y'all
Also, he says, one of the things that Paa Taraq is telling us is that before the year 2000, right, he was breaking down all of the religious information. And he said that as his job as the son of righteousness, he was able to take bad information and make it good information, you know what I mean, for us to be used. So what he did was, he used the religious information and, you know, gave us a better, you know what I mean, concept of it then. But now, as we reach into the, you know, second half an hour after 2000, like everything is being given to us raw.
He gave us what we wanted.
He's like, he said, I came giving you what you wanted so you could learn what we did.
So,
Because we don't even, like, the Bible, the Quran information is outdated. Like, we don't, right now, we don't deal with none of that.
I heard y'all don't even deal with the holy tablets anymore either.
no, that's expired.
Yeah.
The holy tablets gave birth to the Bible and the Quran.
I heard that was the real last revelation was the holy tablet. After
Yeah.
that, there was no
For that
more.
cycle.
Yeah, for that cycle. That was the seventh seal.
Oh, okay.
But now, after
But
2000,
now we're getting the scroll of eyes. That's what he's holding. A scroll rolled out for all eyes to see. And it goes into Revelations 5:6, where it talk about the 7 eyes. As you see, it's 7 eyes on that scroll.
I hear a lot about Adam and stuff. Have y'all ever read? Well, I ain't gonna use a Shishada because nobody's initiated in the Shishada. Have y'all ever read the Aten? The scriptures of the Aten?
what language?
It didn't start. It's Kemetic. It's Kemetic. It's not Tahitian. It's Kemetic.
But Kemetic, when you deal with Kemetic, you're dealing with after the Hyksos invaded.
No,
Because-
this is before the Hyksos invaded.
Well, you shouldn't use the word Kemetic because we wasn't using Kemetic until after the invasion of the Hyksos.
Well, if you get technical, Tamara,
Tamara.
Tamara,
Mm-hmm.
not Tamare, Tamara.
Tamara, coming from what language?
It's
Well,
coming from
well-
Shishada.
Well,
How long has it been in existence?
Shishada is the first.
well, that's
The word Shishada literally means the secret, the unknown.
I understand exactly.
wait. I understand what you're saying. The way you're saying it is more Greek. That's the same thing as the Greeks. They say Ra, they don't say Ray. But in all actuality, he's not pronounced Ra. It's Rayay.
Well, Ra. Okay.
Ra is the
And when
Greek
you say
transliteration.
Ray,
Yeah.
You're talking about another form of Ra.
No.
Because in the Shishada, and I'm initiated of the Shishada in Yoruba.
Let me say something.
Shishada.
Well, and from what my understanding is, like, you have, for example, Tahuti. Then you have Jehudi with a D and a J, right?
Mhm.
Then you have Hermes.
That's the Greek interpretation.
All right, so they all the same person. Am I correct?
Yes.
So if you saying Ra, and they saying Ray, and then they come with the actual, with the original, with the correct way, Rayay, isn't it the same person?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm saying it's a different aspect. Like you got Heru, Hip, Adre.
It's like for instance, if you say Osiris, that's the Greek way. It's Asar.
It's a saw. Exactly.
So when you say Tamara, That's not the proper tone. It would be Tamare, because the R's for one they roll, and it's A-E-I-O-U. It makes that sound. It's not it's A. Tamare.
And in the book, Jesus Found in Egypt, he actually helps you pronounce Tamare because it's Ta Mary, and he really breaks that down there. Like if you got that book, you see his Tam.
I was just
Ta, earth, Ma, water, Ray, sun.
That's right.
Right. Okay. What I was asking is, has anybody read the Aten scriptures?
When you say Aten, are you saying Atum? Because Aten
is the main.
Yes, our master translated the sacred records of Atum Rayay. Yes, we read that. He put it out. He is Atum Rayay. So when you say have we read the scripture, see, we need brothers to understand, overstand, and understand that this being is an avatar, and there are other beings that come through him to convey messages through him. He's the vehicle to convey the messages. One of the beings that was coming through him was, you say Atum Rayay. Also Amun Rayay. It was 19 different beings that were coming through him originally. Up to 19 different beings.
Why I asked that, because when they talk about
So to answer your question, yes, we have read that. And we have that, the black book. We call it the black book. Sacred Records of Atum
I
Rayay.
have that black book actually. But what I was saying that because when it talks about Atum, okay, it's not actually talking about a person. It's talking about creation.
Exactly. You got
because it says Atum broke itself into 4 pieces. That's why I said if Atum with it broke itself into 4 pieces. Nut, Tefnut, Geb, and Sutna.
Hold on.
That's
yeah, we with you, but we have accuracy with what you're talking about. What I mean by that is Atum inside the ethereal form. Yes, it is said that he masturbated, ejaculated, and from his orgasm seeded the universe, organisms grew. And he is the father of Geb and Nut, Atum. This goes back to Atum is also known as the 9th being. In certain Paa Taraqs, you'll see it. You have Geb, this is your Enneads. Atum, Geb, Nut. These is his children. He didn't break it. When you say he broke himself, yeah, those are offsprings of himself.
Quoting how it says as he separated himself into 4.
Yeah, which became Geb, Nut, and they became the parent. First of all, Atum is the father of Geb and Nut. Geb and Nut produce Asar, Aset, Set, and Naptat Hatat, or Neptis. These are the 4.
Or Tefnut.
Tefnut. No.
No, Neptis.
Yeah, Neptis.
That's right.
Also, it's
Tefnut. Aset sister.
Shu, Tefnut, Geb.
No. Excuse me. Atum birthed Shu and Tefnut. Shu and Tefnut birthed Geb and Asar. Geb and Nut. Geb and Nut birthed Asar and Aset. Satakh and Neptis. So that's the Enads, which also is coming from the Ogdoads.
What you was talking about was the Ogdos, though. The ones you mentioned earlier, you said Amun and Amunet and Het. That was all Ogdos. Those are the 8 Ogdos that
those are the primordial beings. I see your hand. Those are I see your hand. I got you. Those are the primordial beings that came out. The frog-headed beings that came out of the waters, and that's coming from the egg. The that's also coming from the primordial egg. Because like today is Easter, right?
Yeah.
And it says that Ray came from that primordial egg of Nun.
Because in the Problem in Herum, right? In the Problem in Herum, it clearly states in the company of gods and goddesses. Mm-hmm. Okay, it clearly states in Problem in Herum, it clearly states, it says, and he dwelled alone. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Atum. You talking about Atum? You talking about Atum?
Genesis comes.
Are you talking about Atum?
They talking about all of them.
When you say
everything came about.
When you say and he dwelled alone, Atum was in the ethers. Yes, he was alone. He didn't He didn't impregnate a woman, but that triple darkness is the womb itself.
In actuality, he wasn't alone.
No, he wasn't. I'm glad somebody said that.
When I say that he was alone, it's based off what you're saying. Alone is he did not have a physical counterpart when he produced Shu and Tefnut. That was from his own masturbation. No one, we're never alone because we're inside the all. As far as in that aspect, I am never alone. The all is I am. The all does I do.
He said alone.
Yeah, I was
the fact that you lonely, but alone that you are one. You know within the
Exactly.
whole. Yeah.
That exactly.
One for all for one.
That's right.
One and the same.
One and the same.
Tor, you got a question?
Yeah, I have a statement.
No, we ain't taking no statement. We just going to just question it. No, go ahead, brother.
Basically, what I was going to say is that when questions are being asked, you know what I mean? It's like the answer's given on a certain degree based on a person. So when he asked, how do I explain that? Basically, what he was saying was, how do I explain certain things to my mother, who's a Christian? You know what I mean? About certain things in the Bible and stuff. You start talking about a tomb and Geb and Tefnut. You know, that was the job of the master teacher to explain certain things on people's level. So when we started talking about the Adam story,
Levels to this.
right? When we started talking about the Adam story, that's a different degree that the master teacher has a full breakdown. And then when you say, okay, well, what about this? The master teacher actually has a clear breakdown of all of that. Even if you want to go back into the religious school, when he was talking about Adam, like in an Ansar book, you'll see Adam and you see Atum. You know what I mean? He said Adam, Atum, the first Adam. You know what I mean? How hydrogen is the first atom, and that's the birth of the sun. How hydrogen turns into helium.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like it's different explanations. So
because science was spirituality as well. Science was spirituality, and they put it in a
That's
form.
right, because Wu-Nawap is the spiritual science.
I understand that too. But what
separate
that also. But what I'm saying is that when Pops, what we call Baba Yaanun, when he's breaking things down for people, he's giving you a clear understanding and explaining on so many different levels, so that so many different people can be raised up.
Y'all use that two words.
And that's
right.
That's why it's important to read the now information that's coming out, because a lot of questions that we have, you'll find the answer just from reading a new doctrine. I don't know. I think it was this brother that asked about the stones. Asked about the stones. He goes right into it in the Akasha records. Breaks down how it was 24 stones. The red meat stone was the stone that was used to seduce Eve. He goes into that. So all the doctrine that's up here right now is what he came to give us, which will also clear up any confusion about what had may been in the older scrolls. That's why he said, yo, get out of the tablets, because everybody can't handle being in the tablets and then getting this information. They'll confuse themselves.
Break it down.
But then you have those who won't be confused, that can go into the tablets, then go into an actual fact, a Paa Taraq, and link it all together. As he's the one who married the scripture. He was the one who first brought out the Quran is the third testament of the Bible. He was the one who brought that out. It's all together, connected to the mother scripture, the Akasha records.
Okay, now I want to ask you this right here. No, okay, now it seemed like the jinn had got more stronger in the new generation, and people out here do not want to recognize source of life when it came from. Everybody else out here is off basis, off tune to us. So now, number two, you saying that we can ready to go to the motherland. Okay, what's going to happen if I don't go with y'all? I'll be, as the Muslims say, I'll be out here in this doom. And okay, so I'm asking you two questions on one. The jinn got more stronger in people, right? To be disagreeable, and what will I do if I don't go with y'all?
Okay, first question. Yes, the jinn, demons, spirit forces, spooks, specters, yes, they are getting stronger. Every Sunday It's 100 spirit forces that's coming out just by 6 ether worship on calling on Zeus alone. And that's why one reason that the elders had moved spiritual night from Thursday, which is our ancient sacred day, first day of the week of AO, ancient Egyptian order, moved to Sunday, was to combat the spirit forces that we are feeding once we're calling and praying and speaking in tongues. So yes, the jinns have gotten stronger because he said that the second half hour was going to be far more treacherous. People are still under the spell. People are passing off spirit forces just by loose sex. Is loose through sex. The genetic kiss of death, you got spirit forces that's being passed. Whole spirit beings that are being passed. So
not the church people, the people out here who selling drugs, carrying guns, you know what I mean, this, that, and the other, you know what I mean, people who's, you know what I mean, electronic, everybody who's not with us, not just church people.
Yeah.
The whole.
Everybody is it's been a dimensional shift that came in 2013. A dimensional shift on this planet. Some people got left in that shift. Some people got stuck. Right? And when that dimensional shift took place, this was the coming of a new world or equinox. This was the coming of the next 24,000 year period. And those people that's getting left behind, that's going off chasing spirit forces, you got people that was Nawaupians that went back to be Moors, to be of the Moorish science temple. You got people that was calling on the Natharu that went back calling on Allah, chasing spooks. So it's in the religion, that's one of the spells. And then you got those who are not religious at all, but they don't have intelligence. They don't have the culture. The master teacher is giving us the culture, which is also the ethics that's giving us the way to walk. They don't have any ethics. They don't have any morality. They don't have any culture. You follow? They're being brain contaminated with synthetic sound waves. They're being brain contaminated with television, all these reality TV shows, all the bad food that they're eating. You follow? All this has an effect on their DNA. All this has an effect on the way they behave, the way they act. Eating oodles and noodles every night and cereal with cow milk. You're not getting the nutrients that you need, so the children are acting, they're out of whack. ADHD, attention deficit disorder. You know what I'm saying? They're out of whack. Teachers are having sex with children. There's so many things going on. The planet is the devil's playground. The 200 fallen angels, when they was cast out, they was cast into the earth. And they incarnated into animals and beings and all type of things. And they're still running rampant. This is the devil's playground. Cherubim used to come here and hunt dinosaur just for fun. Caucasians go to Africa, kill elephants, take their tusks, leave them on the ground.
How come I met
I ain't answer your second question yet, but go ahead.
Okay, I'm in a brother.
If you don't go back to Africa and you get left here, you're going to be left here, and your Babylon will be falling. So he's telling us to get out of the way. Let what's taking place take place. We don't got nothing to do with that. All we got to do is get out the way.
Right.
We got to follow our Nathar, our warner. He's the warner for the black race world over. World over. Not he came to the west from the east like lightning, but he is for the black race world over.
How many years do?
He was given 60 years from 1970 to 2030, but he was sentenced to 135 years. He's been in there going. Oh, go ahead.
How many years do we got before we go back to Africa?
Well, you got people in Africa right now getting legislation. They're not leaving Africa till they get certain paperwork signed. People have already brothers have already started living in Africa as far as in our tribal nation. You have Nawaupian diplomats that are over in Liberia right now, shaking hands with the president, mingling with, certain politicians in order to get certain legislation filled out in order for Paa Taraq to be repatriated, because he's the consul general of Monrovia, Liberia, appointed under Charles Taylor prior to his incarceration, wrongful incarceration and abduction. So him having diplomatic immunity, he should not be in a U.S. penitentiary. He should have got deported. Just like Russia has deported 60 U.S. diplomats back to America. That's how he. If he was wrong, y'all was supposed to deport him back to his country.
Right.
As a diplomat, he should have been dispelled back to his country.
Did he have natural citizenship there?
Yes, he. I don't know if you heard me. He's the consul general. In order to be a consul general, you have to be naturalized, become a natural citizen. You can't be a consul general and not have your naturalization.
In Liberia?
In Liberia, yes. And that's not the only country.
I met a brother, right, the other day, right, on 52nd Street, right, on the subzone, right, and he had a maroon fez on, and he told me, I come from Mount Kaaah. He said that my tassel is the biblical cord, right? He was talking about the darkness, and stuff, right? And so he said that I come from a certain family. So now it's another. He said it's different Moors. So there's different Moors that y'all not talking about this.
Now that may be true. That's what they say that symbolizes. But Morocco, the country in Africa, never claims the Moorish Science Temple, never claims the Moors as their own. They have never sponsored them. The way Muammar Gaddafi has sponsored the Nation of Islam, gave him $4 million to the Nation of Islam, they have never been sponsored by the King of Morocco.
They wouldn't even give him citizenship.
They wouldn't even give him citizenship, the Moors. And the word Moor is coming from the Latin word morenos, which means darkies. Or black.
Yeah, Maurice.
And this is a derogatory term that we were being called. And they used the Africans in Morocco to help enslave other Africans throughout the West and the East.
He said that there were different Moors. So when he's saying that the biblical core and the darkness,
Fez is a place in Morocco. They call that a Fez. That's not a Fez. Fez is an actual place in Morocco. And even furthermore, the word morenos is coming from the Nawaupian word marar, which means beloved. And that's why a lot of Muslims, they used to be like, beloved. Okay, beloved, that became their terminology, as the master teacher also brought out. Now, you probably have denominations of Moorishism. I can agree to that. You have but Moorishism is still a branch of a denomination of Islam. You follow? So those who call themselves Moors have assimilated their culture as Africans to take on Islam. That's Islam. Moorishism is Islam. And the Moorish Science Temple, they read from the Bible and the Quran. Unlike most Muslims, they don't even acknowledge the Bible. They just read the Quran. As far as Ahmadiyya, Sunni, and same thing with the Nation of Islam. They read out of the Bible and the Quran. So you do have different type of Moors. You got Caucasian Moors, you have Negroid Moors, you got Asian Moors, and each race will put their own cultural spin on it. Because each race has their own culture that is linked to their own DNA, their own genetic code. Talk.
And even that Moorish flag was given to them by the French. That's not even an original flag from them.
The first Moors, all right. The first Moors were labeled by Greeks, like the brother just told. Okay, the first Moors were not Muslim. They became Muslim through the invasion of the Arabs. The Arabs helped get the European oppressors off them. By the time that happened, the European oppressors called them Maurice or Moror, which means black.
Now you're talking about the
That's
Moors,
just a color.
the Moors that was from the Sangha Empire, because that was the only ones that I knew that was around at that time.
Hold on.
The Tuaregs and all that. So were they? What were they?
They had their indigenous beliefs.
What Sangha?
The master teacher. Hold on.
You go to the Mali Empire, which you know is Mali now. It wasn't called that. Okay, you had a coalition of 7 tribes corresponding with 7 things under one government. Now they had an appointed ruler out of the Mandinka people. Okay, you had the Alinki, the Dogon, the Sangay, the Fan, and the Wolof.
The Wolof, yeah, that's right.
Okay,
and they got their
they
own
had
tribes.
a coalition. Arabs were messing up this trading route. What you know as Timbuktu was the capital of this coalition of African cooperation. The last one was the come to the submission of Islam was the Songhe.
That's right.
The doggone never did. The doggone never came to the submission. They picked up their whole civilization and moved.
That's right.
Alright, but now my question here is this before Mansa Musa or this is after Mansa Musa?
Way before Mansa Musa.
Way before. Because his descendant line wasn't even had that. Mansa Musa is an Arabic word.
Musa is Arabic.
Yeah. His line came from Dogunye. His line came all the way from the Dogunye line, which is one of the straight lines that descended from Tamara.
That's right.
So his line came from a strong line.
That's right. Okay? Straight from Egypt.
And they had a settlement in there. The Egypt had a settlement in there called Jannah. It was called Jannah. It was a settlement they had there that was given to them, and it was trading rules they had with that.
Yeah, I know.
I thought, excuse me, to answer your question, you can go into the ultimate reality and read verbatimly from the master of heaven and earth on what he has to say about the Moors. You can also go straight into the guidance, because there's only one master teacher. Everybody, they want to get up and they want to put out all this information, but all of it is not right and exact. All knowledge is not right knowledge. You follow? But the master teacher, the one who's here, the one who's writing books from in jail writing books, he puts it in here. He puts it in the proof, Paa Taraq Yaanun. He puts it in the God of Light and Fire. He gives a whole build on the Moors. So if you want to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, read what the master of heaven and earth is writing, because he's not writing for nothing. He's writing for us to read to heal us, so we will get the whole truth, because no one is more right and exact than the one that was sent to admonish a whole race world over.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. What I'm gonna try.